I met Hennessy the other night, by the way, Pat Hennessy. He's a relation of mine through drink. And I met him in a pub, and I said, I believe you sold your bicycle to Murphy for £30. He said, I did. I said, that was a good price. He said, it was. He said, but if I'd known he wasn't going to pay me, I'd have charged him twice as much. It's lovely the way we talk, it really is. I tell you, I was standing at a bus stop some time ago. There was 25 of us standing at this bus stop. We were waiting for the bus at the time, and you see what I mean? We talk like that. And this fella walked up to me with a classic Irish unnecessary remark. He said, do you know what I'm going to tell you? I was down in Killarney doing a little television show in Killarney, and driving back to Dublin, I came through Killaloo, County Clare, this little village, and I had a thirst in the car you could have photographed. Honest to God. I have it again now. I had such a thirst that I went into this pub and had a quick pint of Guinness. It never reached my stomach. My tongue soaked it up. And there's 5 or 6 of the lads in the pub discussing religion, who was what and what was who. And one fella said, well, I'm an atheist, thank God. And the other fella said, there's only one thing wrong about being an atheist. You get no holidays. Oh, write it down, for God's sake, write it down. And I met a taxi driver there from County Cork. I said, is it true if you ask a Corkman a question, he always answers you with another question? He said, who told you that? Anyway, they filmed The Quiet Man up in Mayo in Cong Castle about 27 years ago. I remember it well. John Wayne, Victor McLagan, lovely Maureen O'Hara, and all the lovely people were there. So God knows they're nearly all gone now. But recently I was up in Mayo, and there's a little newspaper shop beside Cong Castle, and I went in there to get the newspaper, and this woman recognised me from my television shows, and she said, is that yourself? I said, it is. She says, it's me too. So I said, it's the two of us then. She said, it is. I said, I'm glad. She said, so am I. I thought it was somebody else. Well, I mean, this could go on forever. So I said, I'd like the newspaper. She said, yes, would you like today's paper or yesterday's paper? I said, I'd like today's paper. Well, she said, you'll have to come back tomorrow. Oh, dear God, I'll have to lie down for a while. Did you ever ask somebody the directions in Ireland in your car, by the way? Did you ever? Isn't it fantastic? Isn't it fantastic? Recently, I was looking for Skibbereen, County Cork, and this is a classic. It's got to be a classic. I stopped this fella and I said, good day to you. He said, good day to yourself. I said, I'm looking for Skibbereen. He said, are you now? I said, I am. But he said, I'll tell you how to get there. I said, thank you. Now, he said, here's how you get to Skibbereen. Now, listen to this very carefully. Listen to the connotation of words here. He said, now, you'll take the telegraph poles with you for a mile. Just listen to this for a classic. Now, he said, after a mile, you'll drop the poles and turn left. Are you getting this all down now, madam? Write it all down now. I says, and when you turn left, you say, you'll come to a little village, and you'll think you're in Skibbereen, but you're not. Now, he said, you'll pick up the telegraph poles again, and you'll carry the poles with you for 2 miles. And he said, you'll drop the poles and turn right, and you'll come to a little village, and you'll think you're not in Skibbereen, but you are. Isn't that lovely? Beautiful. It's nice. It's nice. Down in Dingle, County Kerry, they photographed Ryan's daughter. David Lean stayed here for 2 years making that picture. And the storm you saw in that picture, by the way, he waited 11 months to get that, but when he got a beauty. This fella Flanagan is walking down the street in County Kerry in Ballydavid, the lovely beach in Ballydavid, and he's got his front door under his arm. And Casey met him and said, Flanagan, where are you going with the front door? And Flanagan said, I lost the key. And Casey said, well, you had better not lose the door, or you won't be able to get in. And Flanagan said, it doesn't matter, I left the window open. I'll have to lie down. The only way you're sure of getting a drink when the pubs close in Ireland is find out who's dead and where they're holding the wake. And you're in for the night. This fella Hennessy went to the wake the other night and he said to the widow, I'm sorry for your trouble. He had a good few drinks, he had a quick look at the corpse and he came back to the widow and he said, I don't think your husband is dead at all. He said, I just saw his eyelashes flickering and his lips moving. And the widow said, well, dead or alive, he goes out of here at 9 o'clock in the morning. Write it down. It's a good one. Now, come on, write it. You gotta write it down. You gotta write it down. I'll never forget up in Donegal, you see, which is a lovely county. The hospitality of the Irish is unbounding. And I stopped at this little, farmhouse for a drink. Now, they don't give you water. They'll either give you a bowl of buttermilk or a drop of the pochine. Have you ever had the Irish Mountain Dew, the pochine? Great for dandruff. Have you tried it? It would take the paint off the door. But the woman gave me a bowl of buttermilk and I was drinking it and this little pig came up, was nibbling at my shoe. I said, my God, he's a very friendly little pig. She said, why wouldn't he be? You're drinking out of his bowl. I remember the little pig down there. That's a joke, of course. But anyway, talking about the pochine, do you know that it's a sin to make pochine in Ireland? It really is a sin. And this young curate, you see, came to the village for the first time and was hearing confessions the first day. And this fella said, Father, he said, I'm after making 8 gallons of pochine. And the young curate, you see, wasn't familiar with the penance in that parish for this particular offence. So he said, excuse me, and he went into the sacristy and the bishop was half asleep in the chair. And he said, Bishop, I have a fella out at the confessional and he's after making 8 gallons of pochine. What'll I give him? And the bishop said, give him £2 a gallon and not a penny more. It's a good one. Write it down. It's a good one. We're sitting in a pub having a drink, you see, and this big fella, about 6'4", dashed into the pub and he said, is there a fella here called Rooney? And this little fella like myself stood up and said, I'm Rooney. What about it? And the big fella nearly killed him. He broke 6 of his ribs, broke his nose and gave him 2 black eyes and dashed out of the place. And when he was gone, the little fella picked himself up and said, I sure made a monkey out of him. He said, sure, I'm not Rooney at all. There's a little fella sitting beside me, and he said to the bartender, I'd like a bottle of champagne. And the bartender said, of course, what year? He said, I'd like it now. This is the best side over here. Listen, It's a lot of class over here tonight, there really is. Oh, yes. My Uncle Pat down in Waterford, he reads the death column every morning in the paper, and he can't understand how people always die in alphabetical order. And they do, did you notice that? I don't mean to be morose, but I see humour in all things. Laughter is the great valve of life. The world today is beginning to forget how to laugh, which is very sad. We have to bring it back because laughter is so necessary to our well-being. If we don't laugh, we disintegrate and we fade away. So we've got to learn to laugh. It's imperative that we laugh. I see humour in the death columns. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but if you read these in memory of, in memoriam, if you change the tone of your voice, they can have a different meaning, a different connotation altogether. Listen to this. In memory of my husband, Seamus O'Shaughnessy, may he rest in peace until we meet again. They're all explaining that all around the room. My wife, by the way, who is a relation of mine by marriage, I don't mind confessing that my wife converted me to religion. I never believed in hell till I married her. Funny woman. She went to the doctor some time ago to have her face lifted again. They said they couldn't do it, so she had her body lowered. Even when we make love, she closes her eyes. She hates to see me enjoying myself. Funny woman. It's not a sin to laugh at that, honest to God. I'm just finishing a book about doctors at the moment, the medical profession men, they're funny men, There's a fella sitting beside me waiting to see the doctor, and he's wearing a corset. I said, a corset, yes. I said, how long have you been wearing that? He said, ever since my wife found it in the car. Now, Well, God forgive you for taking the wrong meaning out of that. The Father Murphy was here, he cleared the hall. I went to see the doctor some time ago. I lost my voice and I couldn't talk as well. And I couldn't talk as well. Yes, and I said, doctor, I can't talk. I've lost my voice. He said, now just get into that little room, he said, and get undressed. I'll be right in to examine you. But I said, doctor, it's my throat. He said, don't argue with me. Get in there and get your clothes off immediately. Well, you can't argue with the doctor. And I went into this little room and I got undressed. And there's a fella sitting beside me with nothing on but the radio. I said to him, this is ludicrous. I come here with a sore throat and I finish up with no clothes on. He said to me, you're lucky. I only came here to tune the piano. This, ladies and gentlemen, this gold watch is the most beautiful thing I've ever worn. It chimes the hour. It's 126 years old. And it's got a gold sovereign on the end of it here, 1860. The fob is magnificent. It's got an amethyst stone embedded in it here. It's 120 years. Oh, it's magnificent. I'm proud to wear such a beautiful watch. It was my grandfather's. He was from Scotland, from Glasgow, a fine, upstanding Scotsman. He sold this to me on his deathbed. And I gave him a check. We should digress momentarily from Irish humour and go to Nottingham, to Sherwood Forest, where Robin Hood and his merry men are assembled on a very sad occasion. Robin Hood is dying. He called his faithful servant Friar Tuck to minister to him. He said, Tuck, the end is near. I'm sinking fast. But he said, before I die, I want you to open the windows of this cabin so that I might gaze for the last time on my beloved Sherwood Forest. So they opened up all the windows. He said, now, bring me my faithful bow and arrow. And they do. He said, I shall fire my last arrow, and where it lands, that is where I wish to be buried. So they buried him on top of the closet.